So, Mme Mmakgabo Mmapula Helen Sebidi is the first black recipient of the Standard Bank Young Artist Prize. That was back in 1989. Her work represents a turning point in national politics when the days of apartheid were numbered, and she emerged as a symbol of resilience and political awakening. In 1991, Mme Mmakgabo's journey took her to Sweden. However, her work disappeared without a trace. And it's these very artworks which will be exhibited for the very first time at the UJ Gallery, having been recently discovered in Sweden. Ntlo E Tsamayang, meaning the walking house, serves as a celebration of indigenous knowledge systems, confronting themes of self-positioning, power, responsibility, and of course healing at the doorstep of 30 years of democracy. Mme Mmakgabo and exhibition co-curator Gabriel Baard join us now to tell us more. Welcome to the program and thank you so much for joining us, Mme. It's so good to have you and such an honor and a privilege. First and foremost, when did you first discover that art was your medium of expression, that this is what you wanted to do for a living?
I didn't know if I had to do art for a living. I grew from the art world home. So I didn't know if the work of art does give something to eat. I was exposed by my art teacher to say, this is going to give you a piece of bread. I had to do this play. For me, was something to take the stress out of me because I was very disappointed by my parents who left their mother who did not care of them, until I read her and see how power she is on helping and doing work and growing me up with all the skills, telling me that she's leaving these skills with me because my parents had disappointed them, going to work for white people, and all the skills were given to them. They were disappeared at the white people's place, and they need to report to where they're going, and they don't have any report. They're old. So I have to take from her so that she can find report to where she's going. Because when the child is born with a gift, and they had to open that hand, which was closed, and make it work until the last day when you are passing from this, going back to where you come from.
So, Mme Mmakgabo,
I wish I would help you to see when African people, starting with the child, starting with the introduction. When the child is born, stays for 3 months and introduced to the earth and the ash and the water. Thereafter, the child is named. Then, when you are 2 years already, you already got this introduction from your back of your mother, carrying you, reading you, the activities, because you introduced to them. Reading the activities from the back of your parents and other people who are carrying you at the back, you get to supply these activities onto your brain. So when you're 2 years, you're already starting to help. It's the parents.
Yeah. So
collected.
You started art when you were a child, practically. And then your journey led you to Sweden, Mama, and then Musebetsi wa hawa nyamalla. How did your work disappear?
We were invited as Southern African artists to Stockholm during apartheid. Swedish people were people who wants to trying to help us into apartheid and trying to guide us how we should have to work, to live and live with apartheid by work. So they invited 5 countries, and I was one who was chosen to speak for Southern African exhibition in Stockholm. So we happened to be organized as artist meeting from Sweden, and the artists came from here to speak about what to be done as artists. But I opposed them that we need to connect with the ruralists, And the way of connecting with the ruralist is to look at the beadworks and maybe try and see how we can turn the traditional people to understand the federation and communication with the printmaking, and take their beads, help them to take their beads and draw them on paper and print them so that they can be exhibited in Sweden or elsewhere. So then they themselves will see the improvement of their lives.
Yes.
And their spirit will jump and see somewhere.
Of course, and then there was the matter, Gabriel, I'd like to bring you in here as Mama's taking us through her journey that took her to Sweden. Then there's the matter of her artwork disappearing, just falling off the face of the earth. What happened?
You know, so Mmakgabo was invited for the second time to return to Sweden in '91. And it was there that she communicated with Swedish artists over a period of 6 weeks. But she brought with her a cache of 33 artworks. Now, lots of these had been recently made during a very tumultuous period in her life, having lost a close friend and mentor, Bill Ainsley, along with being exiled from her rural home. And so she brought this work to Sweden to be exhibited. And essentially, they didn't put the exhibition on. She left, having been told that they would re-invite her when there was space in the gallery. A year goes by, and no word is heard. So she then contacts them and says, "Where is my work? I would like it back." And it's that point that they say, "It's been stolen." So then we go through a period of trying to find these works. Over the last 30 years, there have been a number of attempts to try and find them, but it's pure serendipity. A caretaker of the very school that she was based at happened to open a cupboard that had clearly long been forgotten, and he was clearing out that when he found a roll of artwork with Mme Mmakgabo's name written on it as Helen Sebidi.
Wow. So we know stolen by whom then?
We don't. All we know is that the work disappeared. We don't know if it was ever stolen or if it was lost. Those facts remain quite murky to us, unfortunately, and I don't know if we'll ever know.
Yeah.
But the idea is to explore this history.
Fantastic. So let's explore this history. What is the idea behind the actual body of work, Ntlo E Tsamayang?
So the walking house is it's a representation of an internal house within our own bodies. And Mmakgabo was tasked by her grandmother as a walking house herself to knock on the doors of other houses and be received, to communicate her truth, her history to other houses across continents. And so she went to Sweden as a walking house to communicate a very lived experience for her through her art and her history, to be able to communicate with artists from across Sweden. And it's that idea that we're bringing into this exhibition as a walking house to continue that communication. And the hope is that this exhibition will travel and that communication will continue.
I love the communication, especially now that we are at such a pivotal moment in history. This is literally such an important year for us from a democratic point of view, as was 1994, Mama. What does it mean for you to be exhibiting your work, especially during this time and this political climate?
Well, I feel very privileged by growing in that villages where people knew why they were born, and sharing ideas to us and say we need to communicate with the sun, with the Europe, where the sun set when our sun set. That's how they were saying, we're building a walking house on you. And the example was, we were building the houses with Dobe, and we were helping them. So my grandmother used to say, this is not the house. It's a shade of the sun and the rain. But the house, I'm building it on you. This house must go strongly after working with you, to knock onto every house in where the sun rises when our sun set, and be received and work together. With those people, it means that you communicated.
Thank you so much, Mama. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your work. We appreciate your time. Gabriel, if you can just give us the quick details of when and where can people see this exhibition.
Absolutely. So the exhibition opens on the 6th of April, although we are fully booked for that date. However, it will be running for at least a month, where we've got walkabouts scheduled for every Saturday and every Wednesday following the opening that are bookable through UJ and are welcome to everyone. We will be hosting Mmakgabo on many of them in conversation with other relevant people, so there will always be new histories being told, and the idea is to open up those histories at these walkabouts. So it won't just be us walking around the exhibition, but rather exploring histories and communicating further.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much for your time, and all the best with the exhibition.
Thank you.
All right, that was visual artist Mme Mmakgabo Mmapula Helen Sebidi, and of course exhibition co-curator Gabriel Baard. Back